Well, what's the crack, everybody? Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas if you're catching this just on Christmas. Well, Jesus, how are you? It is currently as you hear this, it is the 22nd of December. Jesus, we're nearly there. The Patreons, of course, would have gotten this last night with the ads gone. They get their Ramble Pods, they get the video footage of this, and they get the live podcast as well. So, there's joy to be had in becoming a Patreon. Thanks to everybody who has become a Patreon. Thank you for an amazing year. Fair fucking play to you. Thank you very, very much. You actually make the show physically work. Well, I do enjoy doing it, but you know what I mean. You gotta have Patreons to make a podcast real. This is it. Show's coming up 29th of December. Is going to be John Cleary in the Hill with me in my comedy club. People looking for the shows of my show Cheek Enough, which I'm kind of on at the minute. Sorry, my brain has fallen out of my ear because I'm on a water fasting diet and it seems to be working, but other than I have no brains left. The 29th of December in the Hill, 26th of January I'm going to be bringing Cheek Enough to it's Kilkenny, but it's the Kilkenny Comedy Club in the Home Rule Club. That's what it is, a gorgeous comedy club. 27th I'm going to be filming my special. That's nearly sold out. I'm going to be filming my special back in the Hill of January, and the 9th I'm going to be in the Artane Comedy Club with my new show Taken Off as well. And then the 1st, very excited about the 1st of March, I'm going to be back in my beloved Galway in the Roisin Dove. So grab a ticket. Friday night, it's going to be wild. And then the 3rd, the Sunday night after that, I'm going to be in Lavery's Comedy Club. Lads, these are some class clubs I'm bringing the show to. So, if it's anywhere near you, grab a ticket, go to the link in the show notes below. Or if you follow me on any of the users' platforms, it's in you know what I mean, it's in the bio. Everything to do is kind of in the bio, but the link in the show notes will take you right through to it. Look, enough housekeeping done. Moving on to today's guest. I was very excited to get today's guest on, Sinead Babington. It was class. I mean, I'm biased. She's from Tipperary. And great. She's based in Mexico. It was class to hear her tip accent start to come through. Right about 20 minutes in, it was brilliant. She's absolutely class. I had such a joy with this inspirational stuff that it's never too late to become a pro boxer. Okay, it's probably too late for me, but it's never too late in a lot of cases to become a pro boxer, as shown by the brilliant Sinead Babington. I like to roll into podcasts with not making a big hoop at it, but in all fairness, it's not too often we get bring a Tipperary person a little bit back home, all the way from Mexico. Sinead Babington, how are you keeping?
I'm very good, and yourself?
I'm class. I'm absolutely class. Now, no doubt, your weather is doing better than my weather because we're fucking blowing sideways here. It's pure tip.
We're complaining of being cold when it's about 12 degrees in the nighttime. So it's not really cold, but it's up in Mexico, in Mexico City in the nighttime it gets a bit cool, but the sun is every day, so that's the good part.
Well, and where are you then? Are you in Mexico City?
In Mexico City, yeah. So because it's like 2,000 meters above sea level, like it does get fresh in the nighttime, but like compared to if you were on the coast. But the sun is out every day, so I like that part.
Yeah, I know. There's that, and just because when I started reading about you first, I was like, "Oh, she lives in Mexico," and I just have this thing every time I think of anybody that I know has gone to Mexico or is in Mexico. I just think, "Geez, I'm fair jealous of the food." Is it as good as I imagine? Is it?
The food is, yeah. I love the food is very good. I think if I go home to Ireland now, I'll be looking for my sauce and my tortillas and
yeah, best of luck.
If it's not spicy, it doesn't have flavor. That's the saying here in Mexico.
And you're 6 hours behind. So were you working? Were you teaching today?
No, I'm on school holidays now since Friday, so it worked out perfect. Yeah. So if I was in school, yeah, it would have been a weekend job, I think, to meet you. So it's good timing.
And so you're originally a Carrick-on-Shore woman.
That's it.
We'll get through. We'll have it right on that there, but like your story is class. Like, so Carrick-on-Shore, now pro boxer in Mexico. That's point A and point B. You just won your last fight. That's proper point B. What's in between? Give us it now. Run in between. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a bit unconventional for most boxers. I don't have really a big amateur background. I was living in Australia and I just took it up for weight loss, for fitness, and got absolutely hooked, and now I'm in Mexico. Professional. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of in between story. But
So, Jesus, like, who takes up, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we've all saw the lads, after the last crash or whatever, lads got rid of the golf clubs. And, we saw these oversized middle-aged men pulling on lycra and cycling bikes around the country. But there was never a hope holding up traffic around the country. There was never a hope in Jesus one of them fellas was going to get on some, like, professional tour team or anything like that. What age are you in Australia? You're like, you know what? I'll give old boxer size a go or whatever.
yeah, I started boxing at like 23. I went to Australia straight after university. So I was there for about a year, living the life, traveling up the East Coast, drinking cider, getting fat.
Class.
And like back home when the sun is out, they say, oh, it's great weather for cider. But
Y-
in Australia, it never ends. So I think after about a year, I was like, okay, this is not a holiday. I live here. I need to
Yeah, you're just constantly on a sunny Thursday in your head. You're like, this is great.
traveling and getting pies in the service stations along the way. And yeah, I
Yeah,
was like, I
23,
put on
sure.
a fair bit of weight, I'd say. And even in just the first 6 months there, I was looking at my photos of my first Christmas there, and I was like, so then I think I I had to kind of, yeah, I had to take up something. And I actually started, it was like kind of more kickboxing in a
Oh,
park, like boxer size, but it was more Muay Thai kickboxing style first. And then like I had found myself, well, I had been in a long-term relationship in Ireland, and after my first year in Australia, I was single for the first time in about 7 years. And I decided I'm going to Thailand for the summer holidays in Australia is at Christmas time. So I went for like a month to Thailand to a Muay Thai training camp.
of
And
course. Yeah, because that's what you do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just
Some people
um
join Weight Watchers, Sinead. Do you know what I mean? Like, they count their points.
so I
Even,
think that was the start of, yeah, like nothing ever went from there. It was fitness and traveling by myself, and that was, it completely just changed my outlook on everything. I was like, well, you can go on holidays and you don't have to just drink for a week, you can actually do other stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah.
um and then, yeah, I came back to Australia and I ended up moving to another side of the city. And the gym that I joined did both Muay Thai and boxing. And I think my leg or something was sore, so I just did the pure boxing class. And then from there, I never looked back. I just went pure boxing. There was a coach there that he was, yeah, he was. We were. It was more like fighters class rather than just boxer size. And
Yeah, yeah,
and he
yeah.
was, and I got completely, yeah, just got put all my energy into that and loved it and wanted to fight, and did my first exhibition fight there and did a couple there. And then had decided I wanted to take a year out and travel. But yeah, he had said to me, go to Cuba and Mexico. Cuba for boxing technique, and Mexico for like the heart that they have. And then, yeah, I'm still in Mexico 5 years later. I'm married here, turned pro here. So
Can you
yeah,
imagine if you
just
went in and your man was one of these fellas like who was just smoking a fag, reading it? Ah, yeah, you're doing great, girls. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, yeah. But by luck, you found somebody who was actually passionate about boxing, and you locked onto that. Like, were you a sporty before? Like, did you play camogie or football at home?
not really. No, like when I was younger, probably like we my brother is trains and breaks horses. We did horse riding, was probably the closest thing to sport, but like until I was about 16, and then it was just social life.
Yeah.
So I wasn't overly sporty in school. Um I think when I went to Australia, like my whole outlook changed, because I think when I was in school, I remember like when the people, we were in Carrick, and obviously like in Carrick, and when you go to secondary school, everyone comes in from the countryside
Yeah.
and they're all really sporty and they're deadly at Gaelic football and hurling. And we're like, nah, we don't stand a chance. Like, we're from the presentation in Carrick. We don't, we had no, like, we couldn't compete with them. And it was such, like, so sad because now I'm like, I started when I'm 23 at boxing, but when I was like 13, I thought, oh no, it's too late now. They're already really good at a sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, then in when you go to Australia, well, I think in the world it's changing, but everyone is doing exercise at 5 o'clock in the morning, some sort of exercise. And it was like, you can actually start something in your 20s and that's okay. But
Yeah.
before that, I kind of had the mentality that, no, it's too late now, you know?
I suppose, do you know what was the perfect storm really landed into a place like Australia where she's a fright here to be getting up at 5 o'clock and going for a run in the pissing of rain. Do you know,
Yeah.
if there was 50 people in your neighborhood doing it, you go, it's a thing. But when it's you,
Yeah.
there's nearly a mental block like going, no, only a mental would do that. But like that, Australia, there's people doing pull ups at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like it's,
Yeah, everywhere is they're out on like running along the river. Well, I was in Brisbane running along the river, and there's all the fitness classes are early before it gets too hot, and so you do it before you go to work, and you start off the day on a high, happy out doing sport. So, yeah, it's funny because I remember the first time I went home for Christmas, and I got up and your body clock is all over the
mm.
place. And I think I couldn't sleep. And I was like, I'm just going to get up and go for a run. Like, and it's dark and cold and raining. And everyone's like, what are you doing? You're mental, Sinead. What are you doing?
But
But
to be fair, yeah, trying to switch that off. So you get so before, had you done exhibition fights before you decided to head to South America? Before you were
yeah,
advised?
yeah, kind of like amateur, but more, yeah, they're like exhibition because they're not like technically like with the IBA or something. So it's just like exhibition fights I did about three, I think, when I was in Brisbane in Australia. And then yeah, I went traveling, and then I came back, and then I went traveling again. And then in Mexico, I had planned to take a year out and like travel to a few countries. And I did. I went for a while to Cuba, Guatemala, and came to Mexico City. And I was only going to stay for a few days because the year before I had visited Mexico City, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to Guadalajara. But I had in my head I want to stay at least out of the year 3 months and do some like training in a boxing gym and just be able to focus on that. But yeah, I joined it. I went to a gym here, um and yeah, like straight away they were like, oh yeah, there's a fight in 4 weeks, you're gonna fight in this. So I was like, oh, like in Australia, like I'd have an exhibition and then maybe a year later another one because it wasn't that big. But here, like in Mexico City, every weekend all over the city there's amateur pro fights like everywhere.
So
Like
did
every
you
weekend, if you want to fight every weekend, you can find like somewhere where there's some sort of an event on that has boxing.
did you just rock up
Like
with your gear
literally.
bag, or was there a phone call made before the Rocky moment? You're
No,
like,
yeah, I just like the first time when I went the year before, I was only here for a week. So I had like went to a gym called Romanza that if I think there was a Netflix documentary of different martial arts in different countries, and that was the gym they visited in Mexico City. And if you like Google, that one seems to come up because like there's like a famous trainer there, Berenstein, or so I ended up going there for a couple of sessions. And then when I came back the next year, I was like, oh well, I was like, it's Mexico City. I mean, there's hundreds of gyms. I should have a look around. And then I think I was like just searching online, and I came across a Cuban school. So I was like, oh, I really liked the style in Cuba. I was like, it would be cool to still have the Cuban technique, but like in a Mexican gym. So I ended up going to that gym, and they were like, oh, we're going to Nevada, Toluca, which is about in 2 hours from Mexico City, up in the mountains, 4,000 meters above sea level, to go running because someone was training for a professional fight. They were like, we'll see you here at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I got an Uber the next morning, and then I met everyone, and everyone was like, oh, come on Monday at 7 o'clock. And then, yeah, I just ended up getting a Mexican family within the first week there. And I was like, I'll stay another month. I'll stay another month. I didn't want to go after, like, I was living for 6 years in Australia and I absolutely loved it. But there's something about the Mexican people. They're like the Irish.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's they're speaking another language, but they're more like us. They have the same personality, the same sense of humor. Like everything's a joke.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like, I don't know, they're so warm as well. Like they really are so, like, it felt like they made you part of your family within, yeah, the first week I was there, I was like, this is going to be hard to leave. Like I knew it was going to be hard to
Oh,
leave after
Jesus,
leaving
right.
Australia after 6 years. Well, I was supposedly only taking a year out. But so yeah, I was doing some teaching English on the side, and then actually a school contacted me in Mexico City. So I was like, oh, this is my way of being able to stay, because I borrowed money in Australia to go traveling. And I was like, I'm gonna need to be able to. I was like, well, I'm coming back in a year, so I'll be able to pay it back, because I was permanently employed in a school in Australia. Um so yeah, then I ended up working, and it's been
So,
nearly 5 years now.
Jesus. So did they ring you up with an offer of like, do you know anything about maths? Do you know anything about science? Like, what was the basis? Is your Spanish any good? Or were you just like, listen, I'm class. I'll just rock up and
Uh,
they're not gonna learn it one way or another.
No, well, no, it is an international. Like this kids learn in English in this school. It's a
Oh,
like a
handy.
kind of a semi international school, but they're pretty much all Mexican students. It's like a wealthy school, very different to where I live in Mexico City, because I'm living properly like, in
Proper Mexico
local
City.
Mexico City. Yeah, like but yeah, this was like rich Mexican kids in this school learning through English. Like most of them, their family have businesses in the States. And so yeah, no, I wasn't teaching math. No, at that stage when I first arrived, no, my Spanish was very basic. Definitely way too, like, I think probably thinking back when I was having conversations in the boxing gym, I probably understood about 30% of what they said. So I was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. See.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I just was on a like had it. I've always been on this teaching agency platform online where like I was always been like, oh, I could go to this country, I could go to that country, but I was always like, oh, I don't want to be tied down for 2 years
Yeah.
somewhere that I don't want to go. But just it was just a coincidence. Like I think a teacher had pulled out at the last minute, just 2 weeks before the school year started in August. I arrived in Mexico in February, and then so they were like, oh, you can do a 1 year contract. So I was like, because I was supposedly going back to my job in Australia, um, and yeah, then I did another year, and then I did another year. And then last year I took a year out for boxing, and now for economic reasons I'm back in the school since basically about 3 weeks ago. So yeah,
So
it's been
your first fight. So even like they say, all right, Sinead, yeah. Can they say your name properly?
not
I
no
want to
most
I
not
want to
really.
hear the Mexican Sinead. Because the father would,
Uh,
I'd imagine him looking at that father going,
yeah, they're like
eh?
Sydney, she meat. Yeah. No, no, I don't think many can say my name. Like I'm married now here as well, and my husband's family don't even like. They have a word here that they say for white-skinned people. That's if you're a female is wera. So like
Where
even
at?
if you're walking through the streets, they're like hola wera, and like and even my husband's family are like La Wera, is she coming? Like the white,
The white one.
like they don't even try, yeah, the white one, but it's actually like in a warm way. It's not like a
Of
yeah.
course, yeah. Because I mean, why? What would they have to against you? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually love
yes,
the raw honesty of that. It's like, well, she's the white one.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Here
Like,
there's no like this politically correctness. Like if you're brown, you're El Moreno, which is the brown one, and if you're white, you're La Huerita, and if you're chubby, you're Gordito. You're like if you're skinny, you're Flaquito. Like you've got those four different nicknames, which is like fat, skinny, brown, white. like like
those are my four favorite
even
people.
when they're trying to describe someone, they're like, oh, the skinny brown guy, and I'm like, that's 90% of the boxing gym you're telling me now. So I can't. I don't know who you're talking about. Give me a name, please.
Do you know what? We need to make this podcast big in Mexico because we don't deal well with political correctness, and so that's I love the notion of that. Yeah, yeah. You know the chubby one. Yeah, yeah. Horror. Yeah.
Yeah, like in and even in almost in an endearing way, like the way
Fair
you'd
play
say
to her for
like, oh,
getting chubby.
like honey to your wife. Like here, it's like gordita, like my fatty, like I was like, when I first arrived, I was like, I'd start crying, like if my husband was calling me like fatty, like. But here it's just like, and I'm like, no, but what's her proper name? I'm not going to call her Gorda, like, and that's what because they just have their nicknames, like, and it's just normal and
It's
it's
just a raw
okay.
honesty to it. I love that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I wouldn't mind being called short arse. See, he's short. Yeah, there you go. Short arse. It's grand. It's fine. So the first fight rolls around. They're like, "All right, Sinead, put down the gear bag there, and we have a fight for you in 4 weeks." Do you like, like, what's the initial first 10 seconds of that answer? Do you go, "Ah, let's," or "All right"?
Give me a win. I no, I think I was like, okay, yeah, I'm fighting in 4 weeks. Like, obviously, probably nervous, but like, whatever.
You're Carrick. You're like grand, grand.
I'm from Carrick, sure.
I,
What's the worst that can happen? Um, yeah, so yeah, and it was like outside of Mexico City in the state of Mexico, which is like Mexico City is known as a state, and then the state of Mexico is like the next state outside of Mexico City, which is like even more probably like poor and more like rural and well, I don't know, it's very built up, but yeah,
underdeveloped,
so
we'll call
it
it.
was more undeveloped than Mexico City. I get Mexico City probably gets all of the funding, like,
Yeah.
because that's where the tourism is. Um, but yeah, it was like the little towns. I love that the little towns are the best thing about Mexico because like they all have they're so culture and
The
like when
grub.
you go there, even
The
like
grub is
everyone's
all I'm
like,
seeing,
oh, they
Sinead.
want to take a picture with you,
Did
like
it?
this white foreigner, like that's tall and like literally, like not sounding like like all even little kids coming up asking photos for you, and I was like, who, what the hell, like this is so cute, but like I'm nobody. But they're just like, yeah, it's just, and still to this day they're like that here. Everyone's like, oh, can I take a photo with you? Um,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna have to get you a proper nickname for your fight ring name. We're gonna have to get you one. La Flama
yeah.
Blanca. No way.
I just put like Irlandesa, like which is the Irish one, because
You
because
won.
like when I first, yeah, I think in my first fight, like, so even they had like a little newspaper article and they were like Finlaysa, like I was from Finland, because they obviously didn't understand my accent and I said Irlandesa and they just heard Finlandesa, so I was like, I'm from Finland now apparently. Like, so yeah, I always like, now I'm like have it on my shorts Irlandesa, because I'm like where I don't like the being like, when I fight here sometimes they're like, oh, international fight, like Ireland against Mexico, and I'm like, no, I live here, like I'm
Yeah,
married to a
relax.
Mexican,
Yeah.
relax, like, but at the same time, like obviously I'm really really proud of being Irish, so I love, I want that to be known, at least the right country. Not because as well, sometimes they're like, gringa, like she's an American. And I'm like,
Oh
no,
god.
because
Yeah.
most of the foreigners that end up living here are from America. Like there's nobody really, very few that are from Ireland. Maybe some teachers, but um.
But
So
that
yeah,
should definitely be your thing then. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like,
yeah,
and there is a boxing heritage there, and there's always been a kind of a hand across the water. And if you look, I suppose you would have definitely looked back through the history of it. There's some great history between the stuff that is the run-ins that Irish have had with Mexico down through the
yeah,
centuries. Like you know, some red hair popping up around the place in Mexico is. I mean,
yeah. When I
try and tell
first
me
came
Canelo
here.
Alvarez, his people weren't
Yeah.
pulling turf out of some fucking place. Come on now.
Yeah, he looks more Irish than any of them. Yeah, when I first arrived, I arrived in February, and in March I went to like a St. Patrick's Day parade, like a tiny one in another part of the city, and like they were like, "Oh, thank you so much, you helped us," and I was like, "What?" Like I
Oh yeah,
didn't even know, and they were like, so obviously there's like the story of the Irish that were living in America at the time, that were made come fight in Mexico with the American army, and they just got on really well with the Mexicans and turned sides, and there's like memorial in Mexico City, like a plaque with all the names of it's the San Patricio, the Batalla de San Patricio, which is the Battle of the San Patricios, the St. Patrick battle or battalion, and all of these Irish that fought for Mexico, they changed sides, and so they like I didn't even know this, and they were all like, "Oh, thanks, we love you." And like Mexicans were singing Irish songs, and they'd never even been to Ireland, but they're like, "Oh, I just love Irish music," and it's so unreal. Like like if anyone ever has the chance to come,
Because I saw a very brief documentary, and it was kind of the crossover between the two, and it was, I think they were in Wexford. There were a bunch of, they were farmers, small time farmers, and they were offered, like, makes Texas at the time, they wanted to, they needed farming. They needed people farming, so they
Mhm.
needed people who could actually farm. So these lads were working off like 10-acre farms. They were like, "We'll give you 2,000 acres if you come on this boat." Of course, the boat absolutely pisses it way off the coast of America, and they basically just ended up in Mexico. Few lads decided to continue on and said, "Look, we are contracted," but a gang of lads just went, "Ah, it's grand. Look around you. Should there's farming to
sun
be
is
done here?
shining.
The sun is shining. There's farming to be done here." Imagine big Wexford heads on lads landing into Mexico and just going, "Hola, what's the crack?" Well, and just settled. They were like grand because immediately they just
No.
the rapport with the people, and so you'd pick it up quick enough when you have to pick it up, like. And
Yeah,
apparently they just started farming, worked out the finest. A rake of these, well, and I mean there was nothing more to be said because they were assumed that the boat had gone down, and I think by the same token, I think they got a leg up because it was it wasn't but it was a kind of a Catholic crossover. So like priests in America and Mexico were okay. They
yeah,
were like, "Sure, look at you're here anyway. Drive
yeah.
on."
They're so Catholic here as well. Yeah.
They love it. They love an old bit of Catholics, doesn't it? Like
Oh,
Christmas.
they're yeah. They give Ireland a run for their money. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I didn't know that story. That's I must look that up. But yeah, there is meant to be in random places like yeah, Irish heritage. And there's so much like they have, the way like we have the banshee, like these stories or whatever,
Yeah.
like they have La Llorona, and it's pretty much the same thing. Like if she cries in the night, someone dies and all.
Oh, Jesus.
Like there's so many of these. I guess like the Celtic and the like, 'cause they're such old cultures, no, and like here it's the Aztecs and the like. There's so many similarities like in the cultures, and even like I was in some like little town in Veracruz, and there was people dancing, and it looked like Irish dancing, like
Yeah, isn't
like
that
this.
odd? When you see that, you're like, right.
Yeah, and even sometimes in the music, like some of the music here, like in different, I don't know, from the north of the country, and you hear like the kind of, it almost sounds like there's Irish music in it, and
Well,
like
you see the
this.
likes of the flamenco and stuff like that. You're like, hold on now 1 second. I've seen this stuff before somewhere. This
Yeah,
is, yeah. Not everything is documented too. So, I mean, do you know, there would have
yeah.
been, yeah, there would have been lads just go, you know what? It's as well to head on out of this America's place because they seem sounder. Like there's a great Irish comic. He's based in America, David Nihill, and he has a bit,
Oh, I
you,
think I've seen
you've
that
seen it where he's like, yeah, where he tells that story of the revolution.
about the Santa.
And
Yeah,
they went down, they went, Latinas. Thank you very much. Goodbye, America. We've met
yeah,
Mexican women. This is fine. This will do fine down here.
yeah. No, but honest to God, the humor, like the way we like in the obviously like we've got these histories of suppression, and
Yeah.
we're used to just making light of everything for basically a survival mechanism,
Yeah.
know,
No,
and
100%.
and here as well, like with like the most tragic thing, in 5 minutes they've memes all over Facebook, like
Oh, yeah.
joking about what's just happened, and anywhere else in the world, like in Australia or America, they're so inappropriate.
Yeah.
But here we're like, sure, if you can't laugh, or what you going to do, cry?
But there does seem to be that element of, and anybody I've that has ever been there, the immediate thing was, fuck it, I could settle in that place all the same. Do you know, immediately it was
Yeah,
like, oh no, this works for us, all right. Yeah.
yeah. These lads are sound.
So how many amateur fights did you have then before?
I think I didn't have many at all. I had I think about 15 in total, between like probably including the three exhibitions in Australia, and
Yeah.
then about another 13 here. But
Hold on.
yeah, no, I went in the
Did
amateur
any
fights.
before
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
forget it? Did
Yeah.
anybody join the boxing class with you? Did Nora join with you? Did Teresa join with you, or were you by yourself? Because I love the notion they were. Sorry, now you're going actually at this, are you? Or did you
No,
jump by yourself?
I just rocked up and was just like, I'm gonna train in Mexico for a couple of months. But then when the coach was like, "Oh, like you're gonna," and I was the only girl in the gym that actually was fighting.
Good.
All the guys were like, none of there was girls there that were doing it just for recreation, but I was the only girl. I guess they're just like, "Oh, she's tall, she's going to be able to win with her jab, you know." And that's what happened. Like, and then an amateur, like in the first good few fights, I was winning the fights pretty easily just from, boxing and moving. Mexican style is like go for it, go,
It is a
go
terrier
to
style, isn't it? It's just
stand in
dogged,
stand in
yeah.
the center and just fight it out. Like, so yeah, obviously the rounds are fast for women. They're 2 minute rounds, and like, I've been taught to box and move box, so they were, they get frustrated because they're like, why are you not standing there in the
Yeah.
same spot and receiving punches? Which has worked out in my favor for the most part. But now since I turned pro, obviously when the level goes up, they know how to, to cut your distance,
Yeah.
and they're not a big fan of the boxing style here. Like they don't really like it. They want a war, they want blood, they want they want you
Yeah.
to stand there.
Okay,
But
right.
like I'm like, yeah, I want my brain intact too, so I'm gonna, keep doing it my way for now. But then when they go to other countries, like, now when they're going to the UK and stuff, like it's the opposite. They like the boxing style, head movement,
Isn't,
footwork.
isn't that
So
interesting?
it's like
Like,
the opposite. Yeah.
it's the same sport, but completely different. Like that they just want a war. Let's tear both our faces off. But whereas I now would,
Oh yeah.
I'd far more enjoy, I guess, because I'm from the, just, it's almost a chess. I love watching it. Oh, look, like,
Yeah.
excuse me, Taylor's last fight where she kept on tying her up. You're like, oh, this must be
Yeah.
driving her bananas. Then backing
Yeah.
out one,
Yeah.
two
She's
shots, 1, 2, and gone again.
perfect. Yeah, because like what else was she going to do? Stand there and receive punches? Like it was the perfect strategy. She came out like, well, she came out like an animal that wasn't going to let anyone upset her this time, didn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're a super boxing fan, I think you admire the technique, and like you said, the chess, and um like, don't get me wrong, like if you go to the fights here, I mean, it's so entertaining as well.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
just like, oh my God, like they are like, they're machines. They just throw punches, like you're like, where do they get the energy to do this? And it's super entertaining, but I never, like, sometimes, especially the female fights here, like most of them are like, it's difficult even sometimes to find me a rival because of that. Like most of them are like 50 something kilos, like they're smaller, but like the two of them just go at it for like even like 8 rounds just nonstop, and I'm like, I don't know who won, and like I'm impressed by how much they both threw, but I'm like, I don't know who won because they just stood there and punched for 8 rounds. But they love it. They love the war. They've, like they say, they've so much heart.
I suppose there, but you'd see this kind of stockiness, and you'd meet. I've met some of the lads, the South American lads that actually work here. They're brought over to work in the beef factories nearby and stuff. And you'd see different shapes to people, and you're like, oh well, that's interesting. You're tall, but you see the stocky fellas, and they're
Yeah,
and you're going, oh, man, you can know by them that you could run them over with a dump truck, like, and lovely
they're
fellas,
so
but you
tough.
forget about it. You just know by them they have that
Yeah,
stocky. You
and it's
couldn't.
exhausting. It's
Oh,
exhausting because you can be throwing everything and they will take everything and just keep walking you down. Like they will just keep walk. Like, I'm like, you're way too comfortable receiving punches. I'm like,
what's wrong? Were you not hugged as a child? What's up? Come
go
on,
down, please.
give it to me, for God's sake. So,
Yeah.
what was it like day one in the build up to your first pro fight? Then was that a bit like, oh, Jesus, no? Did
Yeah. In my, yeah, when I had my debut, like, I think actually, yeah, that was one of the things. Like, it got loads of like, it was being shared everywhere all over the internet. Like, it was getting loads of uh like, yeah, I think I was a bit overwhelmed, to be honest, at the start, because I was like, you see most people having pro fights here in like smaller shows and there's nothing about it. But like, it did, the girl that I was fighting against, she was from Veracruz, which is another state, and she was also like a really good amateur prospect. And it was like, yeah, it got loads of, even like, when I saw Irish boxing, like caught wind of it and shared
Yeah.
it. And, I was like, oh my God, they're sharing it in Ireland. So yeah, it was like, yeah, I think I was overwhelmed as well. And like I was working full time, and at the same time, I have a good friend, Alejandra Ayala, that lives in Tijuana, that she fought 2 weeks beforehand in Scotland for a world title fight against Hannah Rankin, and ended up getting brain trauma and was actually in a coma. So I was like,
Oh Lord.
I had a lot going through my head. I was like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do, like, I was just thinking of, I was in contact with her mom. Someone gave me her number to see how she was doing. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't want to, the way you hear,
Yeah, of
obviously
course.
everyone says the saying, like, you don't play boxing. Like, they
Yeah.
say that, like, you don't play boxing, whatever, but you don't actually think about it.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks before, like even the boxing pages here, like they just get wind of a story and everyone shares it and it's false news. And they had actually like shared that she died in the coma,
Oh
and
Jesus.
she was still in a coma. And I mean, the outcome most of the time is they don't make it, but actually, like, thanks be to God, she has recovered. She's back in Mexico. She's had a son not long ago. Absolute miracle. She was just so blessed that she was in Scotland, and apparently they've like the best brain surgeons in the world in where she was. She was just absolutely so blessed. But like I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to do this to my parents. Like,
Yeah,
if
Jesus.
something, I just started thinking all of this. So I was like, and even my husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time, he was like, if you don't want to do it, no one's going to judge you. You don't have to do it. And I was like, no, I have to get it out of my system. I have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did it anyway. And I think I was very defensive, probably for the same reason. I was like, well, the main thing is like, I don't want to get hit, like get badly hurt. So
Yeah.
I was very defensive. And I lost by majority decision. One judge gave it a draw. I think like a draw was a good result. I think I had the first round and the last round in my own head, but at the same time, like she was coming forward more, wasn't connecting punches, but was coming forward, and that's what they want to see,
That's
the
it, yeah.
judges here.
Nearly ring
And that's
aggression
been,
is nearly added points, like,
yeah, that's been my biggest probably fault, like that the judges see the person going forward. Because like I came down from the ring and was like, I have not been touched, like my face is super clean. I think in the nighttime my arm was dead because her hooks were like landing on my arm. So I felt like good, because I think I just was like felt good that I did okay. And it was against a girl who had 100 amateur fights with, I think, 4 losses. So out of the 100
Jesus.
amateur fights, so
Jesus.
I was like, oh, could they not have given me, like, for my debut, like someone who, you know,
You
like,
didn't have to get this animal. Jesus Christ.
like, the way they protect fighters if you're like signed by a big promoter like Matchroom, the way they
Yeah,
find
yeah.
these, like, that they're going to look super in their debut. But yeah, I was happy that I just like looked decent, and yeah, I came away. I think, after everything that happened to Alejandra, I was just like relieved that we both got down out of the ring, and we're both in good shape, and I didn't feel like I looked completely out of my league up there either. So that was,
But that's it. I mean, anybody first day out, like, I mean, no matter what the sport, being a bit shite is completely okay, but to actually hold your own against somebody who's done the business, because it's a bright light, there's a crowd, you're not wearing any
yeah,
headgear now. Because
yeah,
was that a
yeah.
big
Everyone's
change?
like, oh,
Like,
everyone was saying that, like, oh, it's completely different. Like, you've got like 8-ounce gloves, you've no headgear, like you're going to feel the punches. Um, but yeah, I maybe I just haven't been connected clean on the face yet
the
badly.
smart
So
boxing, you say,
so
smart
far,
boxing.
yeah, I think like definitely, because if my arm was dead, if they were connecting on my face, that would have made a big difference. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's been a massive, like, I haven't been like, whoa, this feels completely different. I think when I was an amateur, whether I was in pro, whether even sparring, like I always have the nerves, like before you get in the ring.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just something that I don't know if some people don't have it, or they fake pretend that they don't have it, but it's something that like I will always have. But the feeling afterwards is always something that makes me keep coming back for more when I'm questioning my sanity.
Yeah, I mean, you can, no, but I mean, people non-sport people haven't played sports or done anything that's pushed themselves into their uh uncomfortable zone. They go, well, why would you want to do so? And you're like, you have no
Yeah,
grasp. The payoff is
yeah,
it's gladiatorial. It's built into your genes. Like it's absolutely in
yeah,
there. Where you to push yourself into that. If you stop feeling nerves, I think that's when you get worried. Even still to this day, when
yeah,
I get on the stage, there's something in there where you're like, okay, all right. But now I
yeah,
live comfortably in that chaos in my head. Do you know that kind of place?
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's what they say. Once you can control it, like once
yeah.
it doesn't get too much, that it controls you.
Now, by the way, I'm not comparing myself to a professional boxer as telling fucking dick jokes for a living. It's it's not the same thing at
No,
all.
but it's adrenaline, it's nerves,
Yes.
it's like, and like that's what I like. I'm not afraid that I'm going to get like hurt. Really, like I'm not. It's not like, oh, I'm afraid that she's going to hurt me. Like it's you. It's a nervous thing that you want to perform well, and
Yeah.
you don't want to be You don't want that feeling afterwards of disappointment that you did shit. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You want to. It's more that than anything. It's
And
not
especially
scared.
if you put it, if you've put work into it, you don't want it all to
Yeah,
fall over in the first round. You know what I mean? You're like, well, I
yeah,
put fucking work into this situation. Like this better. I want this to pay
yeah,
off. So there's always going to be a bit of nail biting, but it's it's interesting to hear your take that you're like, yeah, no, my style is not to get hit in the face. Interesting
yeah.
that you know not that you go in there and go, I am never getting hit in the face, but
No, you're going to get hit. Like
the
they
ideal
say.
thing, like I often wonder that is like, yeah, but that's where all the buttons are to knock you out. So of course, mind your head, even if you don't care what your head
Yeah,
looks like. All the buttons
yeah,
are in your face where they're gonna knock you out. So obviously keep that out of the scenario.
yeah. And when you have to be back in school on Monday as well, you
That's
don't want
amazing.
to too rough.
Nobody's given Mrs. What is your surname now? Did you take have you a cool Mexican surname?
No, over here you don't. No, over here you don't change your surname when you get married. Just if you have children, they have two surnames. They have the paternal and the maternal. So it's like everyone here has like yeah their
Is that
dad's
why there's
first
double barrel
surname
names all over?
and their mom.
Right.
Yeah,
Now
that's
what happens say when two people marry with two double barrels? They're not getting four, are
yeah,
they?
it's the first one. It's the first one, which is so it's the paternal one then that carries on. It's always paternal, maternal. So like uh yeah, so like for example, my husband is Carlos Israel, well, I'm giving all this Robledo Garcia. So like if we have children, then it'll be Robledo Babington because I don't have a second one anyway, like which is probably a bit weird, but as I will
I,
do for the first names as well, we'll do an Irish name and a more typical Mexican name just to
I
keep it
like that. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Yeah, Juan Ifa. I like that.
Yeah,
I know I
yeah,
just picked a boy and a girl's name, but
that's what I said.
I
Yeah,
do
like
like the idea.
Sushanna.
I do like be a great dancer. Nothing else, just probably a great dancer. But
I don't know. I'm not great, and he doesn't dance much either, so we're a
there's
bit
something
weird.
genetic
But
in there. Yeah, I can't
he'll have
imagine
to get some of the cousins to teach him.
Mrs. Babington arriving in like with the eye bust open. Like you're not giving her any guff though, sure you're not. Like, it's one thing
No.
if your teacher, plays I don't know, soccer at the weekend, but if your teacher's a pro fighter at the weekend, you're like, ah, Jesus, right. I better pull my socks up here. This is not I'm not crossing your one.
Yeah, no, but well, I've just started at a new school, so they don't know yet. But I'm gonna leave it go as long as possible before they start searching videos on the internet. And
It's
yeah,
kind of ringing, asking about your husband as to why you were coming in with two black eyes. You're like, ah, whoa, hold on,
yeah,
whoa, one
yeah.
second.
It's better that they know I'm a boxer for that reason. Yeah, yeah, because I just like this school that I've just started. Like I did the interview a week before my fight, and I was like, because they were like, oh, we need a science teacher because the teacher has left, and like, when can you start? And I was like, next Monday. Like, because I was like, I'm fighting this weekend. I was like, that's the earliest. I have a few things to finish up. Like, I'm still, and they're like, okay, okay, fair enough. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I better not. Like, on my first day at a new school, I can't have a black white. I really.
It sets
So
a
I
great
was,
precedent, though. In all fairness, like,
yeah.
okay, Mrs. Because nobody wants to, they won't want it. Although the Mexicans probably would point it straight out. Whereas here it's gone so,
Yeah.
it's
They'd be
so
afraid to ask. Yeah, exactly. Here they'd be like, what happened to your face? I'm like,
white. Hey, white one, what happened to your face?
Yeah, literally, like you could be like on the metro, which is the underground, like, and you're like squashed because it's so packed, and they'll just start like talking to you, like, what happened to you? You're like, there's no filter, no barriers to like, there's
I like
they
that.
just
That's why
yeah,
I like talking to toddlers because they'll just point out things immediately. They'll just
yeah.
they don't care how you feel about the moment. You're like, why is your face hurting? I love that. That's
Yeah,
a
no, literally. I remember like when I first came here, someone had like a scar and the person said, "Oh, what happened to your face?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'd never asked that because like what if there's some traumatic story behind it?" Then I was like, just blurt it out like there's no filter at all. But yeah, it's nice. It's refreshing
yeah.
sometimes.
I mean,
But
it could probably catch you off guard on a hungover Monday or something like that. You're like, oh
yeah,
Jesus.
like sometimes like I'm like, I'm tired. I just want to go into the market, buy my stuff, and come home. And they're like, where are you from? And blah blah. Blah. And like, and like when you're just not in the mood to talk, but it is nice. As our friend, they're so friendly, like, and so like genuinely like interested in where you're from and what are you doing here? Like, why do you want like they all want to go to the United States, and they're like, but why do you want to live here?
You should
And
start
I'm
making
like,
up random reasons. Do you know,
yeah,
Catholicism. I'm really big into it, and
yeah.
you guys do it so well. Just
No, it's
random reasons.
crazy. Yeah, I probably just start coming up but yeah, they're like, but why are you here? But I'm like the opposite. I'm like when I hear about them going to the States, I'm like, why would you want to go there? It's so much better here. Like your food is better, it's cheaper, you've got like more culture, there's so much to see, it's so beautiful, the people are just amazing. I'm like, why would you want to go there? I'm like the
Yeah,
opposite.
I know, and I often wonder. I think it probably not saying this is a set of trend, but it seems to be the obvious out to go to America. I don't. Jesus Christ! I mean, sure, any Mexicans I ever met when I was living in America, Christ, the lads work their backs off. You're like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, boys,
They do
stop
two,
at
three
home.
jobs.
Stop
Yeah,
at
they
home.
work.
It's
Yeah.
not that good here. Trust me. I know
I'd
they're
rather
selling.
have less money, but you've got family time and they've got like they've so much more than money sometimes, it's so much richer what they have.
So is that the crack? Would you for cooking? This is why this has turned into a cooking podcast, by the way. Sinead's boxing has gone to the side. I'm just all I want to know about
That's
is
all good.
Mexican food. So, like, are you going to the supermarket, like, or is it all the market? Is it the market? Oh, because I love the notion of that you can actually nip down and get fresh grub. Like,
Yeah, I'm right beside, like, I mean, there is supermarkets like Chedraui, Walmart, but I'm right beside a market here and I get everything in the market. Like, and there's just so much like fruit, vegetables, like, it's like they know me so well now, and I'm so boring that I probably because of the diet have this, I eat the same stuff probably at least Monday to Friday, breakfast, dinner, and tea. So they're like, same as usual, like, yeah, like just like get my my half chicken in four steaks. I get my the same vegetables, the same fruit. They like no, like they don't even ask me anymore. But yeah, I get everything in the markets beside where I live. I love them.
the main
Yeah.
question, Sinead, the spuds. What are the spuds like? Are they good?
Yeah, they've got. I mean, like I make spuds here. My husband now is like, oh, is addicted to mashed spuds. he's,
Good man. Good. Well done,
he's
Sinead.
like,
Little invasion, little
I
tiny invasion
mean,
there.
yeah, for Christmas I'll be bringing a big pot of mashed potatoes, so it'll be whatever with tortillas and mashed spuds.
Grand, grand, nothing wrong with it. They are two nations combined. 30.
but it is more common here. Like when my parents came for Christmas, my mother's like, "Do they have chips?" And I'm like, "No, ma'am. Just I'm like, you're in Mexico, just like embrace it,
Curry
like
chips. Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, but a few chips on the side. I'm like, no, they don't do chips here, like it's tortillas comes with everything. And
I love that.
so I'm there trying to find somewhere that like does like normally like there's little like places on the street that like do like fry up chips, like they have like little stalls, like random ones. So like we're like going to one for like a burger and going to the other one for chips, like to keep her happy.
They don't put
Like,
any of them jalapenos in now, do they? I
yeah,
don't fucking touch them jalapenos.
yeah. Dad's like, oh, will I be on the toilet after this? I'm like, no, just like, I'm like, I'll tell them not to make it like no spicy sauce, like, but Yeah,
Yeah,
they just can't change, no? Just in steak and spuds is
yeah. Well, comparatively, in all fairness, our cuisine. I know I was not a South African guy I was talking with, and he was saying, "God, Irish people, is it only potatoes? Is all?" I said, "Well, yeah, that's all we fucking had for 800 years. If we
yeah.
had any hope of making a cuisine in our, it was pretty much stomped out of us, like for 800 years by the British. We were left with spuds and spuds. That's it. We had to get imaginative with
Yeah.
spuds. That's it. you know, and we didn't.
Yeah.
Stuff doesn't grow here like it grows in Mexico. Do you know? You're
Yeah,
not going to get
exactly.
dragon fruit growing at the end of your garden in Carlow.
No.
Do you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's like fruit. I don't even know what the names of half the fruits are that I see in there. I'm like, 'cause I'm like, can I have one of those? I want to taste it.
but that's what I'd be. I'd be a complete nerd on food if I
Yeah.
went to Mexico because I'd want to bite every bit of
Yeah.
food that they have, like, because it's just so
Yeah.
colorful. You can see nearly
And
why it would reflect in their personality. Like you go, yeah, because you've got
they
class
have,
grub.
yeah. And when most people like before they come here, it's just like, oh, tacos, no, and then like, but like they have so many different dishes. Like here, like even their soups, their birrias. They've even stew like dishes. They've got like, even their seafood places. Like they have everything basically.
Of
Like
course,
you're never going to starve. There's just you go outside your house, walk to the corner, and someone's serving some sort of a food at the side of like there's just. I think if we go to Ireland, my husband, it'll be like, at 1 o'clock in the morning, like I'm hungry. I'll be like, well, there's nowhere open,
do you
so
like do you like chips? Do you like chips?
yeah, maybe Supermax is still open after the nightclub, but like, but here it's just you're so spoiled. Like there's just everywhere you look, there's just food, food, food. Like in the traffic at the traffic lights, they're selling the bags of fruit, or
Ah, jeez.
like they're just it's just everywhere nonstop because everyone's just out there like trying to sell something and.
Yeah, I'd definitely be known as the white chubby lad if I was there for a while. I could be. What's he came here the white skinny lad, but now he's the chubby lad, unfortunately.
El güerito, gordito.
That's class. That's I love the honesty of that. So spinning forward, you won. This is where it hit me first because I knew. Do you know what? Do you know when stuff pops up on your phone and it's like when it spun it on. I thought you were. Actually thought you were Mexican, but you had an Irish name, and that was a couple of months ago. But then it popped up on Tip News. It was like Tipperary woman wins first professional. I went, Jesus Christ Almighty!
Yeah, yeah.
This is where it's. So that's where I started tracking you down. So you get your first win, which is class.
Yeah. Yeah, I had two fights previously and I had since I changed where I was training and was like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from work. So I wasn't that happy then by the fourth year there and I was getting married as well and I had loads going on. So I was like, I'm gonna try go back. I think after the pandemic I wanted to go back online
Yeah,
and have a bit more free time and not be in 2 hours of traffic every day. So I changed team and I was training like a lot harder and I had a fight at the end of September, which like the promoters, but I like in my head and according to everyone else, bar two judges, I won every single round.
yeah.
Like I was like
Everywhere
the
I read
crowd,
it was
like
like she took that one.
like
Yeah,
yeah, I was like, okay, I know my first fight, like I wasn't. I mean, I mightn't have been way more aggressive, but I was like, I was landing clean punches on her. Like her eye was closed and she had a lump on her forehead, and I did not get touched clean, and my knuckle was the only thing that hurt me. My knuckle was it's still not
that's
recovered. It's still like swollen after that fight. Even in my last fight, like the first punch I threw, I was like, oh, my knuckle again after that one. And like one judge gave 3 rounds to me and the other two gave 3 rounds to her and I'm like what out of the
that doesn't
four
make sense. Yeah.
yeah, so the promoter was like they robbed you, Sinead, they robbed you, and I was like oh yeah, and he was like no no no, we're going to protest it, but I haven't heard. I don't think like they never changed decisions anyway,
Yeah.
but we were waiting for the video from the televisor and I don't know, my coach said whoever someone that's on her team is someone important, so he was like he even was going to get kicked out. He was like asking them like the judges like, oh, did you make a mistake or what happened? And they were like, no, like go away, like you're going to get kicked out if you don't stop.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
then I was supposed to be rematching her in my last fight, and then a week beforehand he was like, oh yeah, did I not tell you you're not fighting her anymore? I was like, no no you didn't.
Gosh.
So then it was like, no, but you're going against someone it's their debut, and I was like, yeah, but when it's someone's debut you don't know anything, like it could be like someone that's had national champion. Like
Yeah.
it's like when Taylor had her debut, she was after coming from the Olympics. Well, you don't know what you're getting. But anyway, um, yeah, this time they gave me. I won all 4 rounds unanimously, and so finally, fourth fight. I thought mine was going to get third time lucky, but it was my fourth one. But it's definitely not luck. It was.
And
I
have you
finally
any?
got.
Is there any plan, or do you think there'd be any hope of? Was it Gracia? Was the one's name? Was that her name?
Uh, oh, what was
That's
her? I can't even remember. The one that I just bought.
no, the one that you
Yeah,
definitely
it was
took.
like Karen Avila, I think Garcia something. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Would you any hope of getting of putting
I
closure on
hope
that?
so. She was supposed to be taking it, and then apparently I don't know what the reason was, like she was sick or something. But like I had a gut feeling. I was like, because she knows that if they're asking for the rematch, and she knows she didn't win, like, but um, but apparently she was going to take it. So I don't know if we can try and see for the next if we can still push for the rematch. But we'll see what happens anyway. Probably I won't fight in January because I need to get used to being full time working and training again.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe for the end of February we can have a look and see if we can get it, and if not, sure it'll just have to be someone else. But we'll
So
see.
what are the chances of? I think this it would be amazing to get you on a card in Ireland or the UK.
Yeah, it would. I would love to. I think I'd like to get at least a couple more wins now to get like my record, because
Yeah,
the way, unfortunately, boxing is a business, and when the normal way they do it is you have a really good promoter and they build you up and you get this, like, you're 10-0 or you're 5 whatever. And, when it's always, oh, the 4-0 person is going against someone who's like 220 that has 20, and they're the
yeah,
journeyman or whatever. And I was like, right now, if I go there, they're going to say you're a journeyman, no, because
yeah.
I've got 1 win and 3 losses according to my record. So I want to at least have more wins than losses first, because when you go, like to the UK or somewhere, yeah, you want to be going with the winning record, I think. Otherwise, it's just going to be like,
Yeah, of course.
you're
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah. Because
You're,
it depends. Like maybe if it's a small show and it's against a similar fighter that's got a few losses as well. But like if you're on a big card with a big promoter against their undefeated star, like
you know what they're billing you as. Yeah, yeah.
you're very different. Yeah, you know what it is. Like it's a business at the end of the day. Like it. I mean, I think here where when I'm fighting, it's less so. It seems to be a lot of the time on the shows that I've been on, they are a bit more 50-50. But I've been told a couple of times, and I didn't pay any heed to it, but like a few times, no, they have like obviously that nationalism, no, because it's like Mexico
Come on
versus
now.
the
Yeah, of course
international
it is.
fighter,
Like,
like,
yeah.
and even when in that last bit that I should have won, but I didn't win, like they play this song that's a real, Mexicans, we go to war, and
Oh,
everyone's like
jeez.
singing it, and everyone's like Mexico, Mexico, like shouting for the even though like the people that don't know either of us, obviously, like I have people that are on my side and she has people that are on her side, but the people that don't know either way, they're like, Vamos Mexico. Same, it's going to be the same in Ireland. Like
Of
you're going to go for
course.
the
Yeah,
Irish
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Like
They have
that's
to make a
normal now.
villain. They have to create a villain, like, because there is a
Yeah,
story to
so
boxing. Like, yeah.
like before I was like, no, I don't think it's like that. But then in that last fight, I was like, no, well, obviously it must be something, because there's no way in hell that I lost that fight. But um,
Yeah, but
but
that's
anyway, we got our win, so we should just hopefully keep on the winning path now for a few fights. But yeah, I think at least like now that because like Irish professional female fighters, we're like there's about 6 of us. Are like there's so few. Like when I had my first fight, I was laughing, like I was looking on BoxRec, and you can search like by country and by weight class, and it was like, because I was lightweight, so it was Katie Taylor number 1, Sinead Babington number
yes.
2, and I
There
was
we
like,
go.
I'm good now. I can die out of, like I can die happy. My name is, I don't mind being number 2 to Katie Taylor. Like I've got like 2 losses or 3, and I'm still number 2 beside Katie Taylor, because there's no like it's going to change soon, because our amateur team is absolutely amazing. When they all start turning over professional, Ireland is gonna,
Well,
and because of Katie Taylor,
There's a pathway now
yeah,
too. Like, I mean, because this is the thing: when somebody's beating down the brush in front of you, at least you can go, "Oh, Jesus Christ! This isn't." It's almost like the Australians doing their fitness in the morning. Like it doesn't seem so weird now.
Yes.
Whereas, Irish
Yeah.
male boxers for the longest time, and it was, a male dominated sport, but I think definitely it's great to see it. And Taylor
Yeah.
will be surpassed too in her time. Like it will happen. Like, but I mean, she is an inspirational character. I think just to men and women, like just keeping the head down and getting the job done in diversity. Like, so, but
Yeah.
do you know what? Let's have it. Let's have Sinead fight Katie Taylor. I think it's going to be. I don't see why not. I don't see why not. It's you're probably taller than her, are you?
Yeah, I'm taller. I'm 173, and I think I'm not sure, maybe 168 or something. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm taller than Kate. She's just stocky, isn't she? She's
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
neck
yeah.
on her, like
That's Bray, pure Bray.
well, yeah, she's got yeah, because even like I'm lightweight, and my coach is like, no, I think you can go to super feather, and I'm like, what are you on about? Like, I'm tall, like,
Yeah,
but like, I've been making, like, when I first came to Mexico, I was 74 kilos.
right.
I was traveling for a few months and I put up a few, but,
Cider again.
um, but yeah, now, like, when I went pro, I was like, no, super lightweight. Like, I'm definitely not going to be able to do lightweight. Like, I'd have to cut my arm off. And I ended up going on a proper plan, and I ended up coming down to lightweight. And I haven't went up barely since. So actually now, when when I weigh in, and the next day, like, I'm going up like 1 kilo, like, and
Was that
everyone's like,
all?
no, you need to go, like, because most people like will blow up the next day.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, maybe even I'll go. I was actually going to go to super feather in my last one, but then they said, oh no, because it's the rematch, she'll say no if you say that, so you have to do it in lightweight. And then when she fell through the week before, they were like, oh, it's going to be at like a catch weight at
Yeah.
62.5 kilos. So I was like, well, then I don't need to even, I'm just going to keep even on a diet now, because I'm already 62.5
Yeah.
kilos. Like, I wasn't, but I think that in the last year, with the level of training I've been doing, like, without even being on a diet, I haven't gone above like 63 kilos.
So
I'm
what's
like
what's super featherweight then? What is that? What weight is it?
59, 59.
You do that handy. You do
Yeah, I
that like
think now, because I'm not going, because lightweight is 61 kilos, 200 grams. Um, and I'm like, I haven't went above 63 when I'm like after my fights, like, so I'm like, I need to,
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I mean, it would be. I'd be interested, just from your point of view, to see what kind of power difference you'd have coming
to see
back
if
up.
it feels,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
You weigh in at 59, you come back up to whatever 62.
62 or something, yeah.
You know what I mean? Guzzling all the water the next day, like to get any electrolytes to get back up. Be interested to see
Yeah,
what 3 extra kilos behind your punch would
yeah.
do. In that
That's
in the,
that's what my coach is saying. He's like, you're giving away an advantage. And I was like, all
and
right,
then
well.
you'd have the height. You'd have height too on top of that. Jesus, that could be devastating actually. Like, because that'd be very very interesting. See, because I was thinking, oh Christ, you've like 5 6 kilos to shed off, like, which is hefty. But when
No,
you
yeah,
you get it down to 59, all right, for the day.
yeah, like, because I haven't been like dehydrating or anything. Like, I've been just on it, so even if it's just the last minute, like 1 kilo of water or something extra, and then get it back the next day. I mean,
Okay.
the guys in America do kilos of
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
dehydration, but
Like, yeah,
that's another. I wouldn't want to do that. And women can't as much, I don't think, as men, because
it would
our
damage you.
bodies
Yeah.
retain water, and yeah, it messes up everything. But like, still, yeah. So we'll see. Maybe in the next one, I'll try super feather. See what happens.
It'd be an interesting experiment for you to see what kind of power you've got behind your punches
Yeah,
then, wouldn't it? Like, that'd be cool.
yeah,
Do you know, just
yeah. You should feel. Yeah, you should have extra. Should feel stronger in it, really. Like, once you don't obviously kill yourself to make the weight, and you
yeah,
don't like, if you don't recuperate or whatever, but if you feel, do it comfortably, I should have feel stronger at it.
I love it. This is so hopefully we're going to see early next year. So if January, February, we should have
Yeah, I think
a fight.
yeah, I think late February probably, at this, because I have just gone back to working full time, and I'll be back. I'm on holidays now till the 8th of January. Well, I'm still training, but I mean, like, to get used to it's like it's going to be difficult again because
Yeah,
it
the
was
combo,
difficult
like.
the first time when you're working 7:30 to 3:30, and then you come home, you go to the gym for 2.5 hours, but I want to break myself back in gently to doing the two together so that it's not, I don't just, I'll end up just getting like, that's what happened to me when I was in my first year. Like I was just getting sick all the time because
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
wasn't sleeping enough, and was trying to kill myself training and having to work. And yeah, and you have to be, I'm a school teacher, so I have to have my head on my shoulders as
Yeah, you
well.
can't
Like,
go. Listen, just fucking knocking on the head for the day, lads. Will
yeah,
you? Jesus, I
yeah.
can't. I can't now. I can't.
I
But
need a break. Yeah.
so what is the white one again? Where is it? Where?
Wera.
Where?
It's like GU with the two dots over it, but it's
Oh,
like
even
pronounced like
cooler.
W.
Oh,
Wera.
where?
Uh-huh.
This has been an absolute pleasure, Sinead. Where the La Flama Blanca from Carrick, Babington.
From Carrick, I'm sure.
I love it. What like you? And do you know we need to do something really Mexican, like Mexican up Carrick on shore. Like, is there some
Yeah.
some way we can
Yeah, my
Mexican up
dad,
that?
my
Like,
dad's like, open a gym here, open a box. And I said,
yeah,
oh, maybe we go in a few years, we'll open a Mexican boxing gym,
Christ,
because my
open a
husband is a boxer as well. So,
Mexican
um,
restaurant, please.
all
Just
right, maybe the two of them, maybe we'll have the
anything,
do
just
your
anything
exercise
at
and
all. Just
afterwards get fat again.
the yeah, we moved from Dublin. We were in Dublin like 10 years, myself and my wife, and then we're back down in rural Tipperary. She's from Dublin originally, but we had some very good Mexican restaurants. So I could let me just tell you, the box of Old El Paso that you get in Tesco does not quite cut it. It's
No.
no,
I was trying to explain them to here. I was like, oh, we can get, he's like, no, there is Mexican food. Like, you can buy these boxes, the kits.
oh
And then,
no,
like, it's not, no.
no,
But do they have, there's no Mexican restaurant in Tip, is there? Well, is
no,
there
there's
any
not.
Clonmel?
No,
No.
there wouldn't
In
be. It's
Dublin, there will be.
no, wait, no, hold on. There's kind of a fusion restaurant, South American fusion restaurant that I have yet to try. But Cork, Limerick, and Dublin have amazing. They have really good Mexican
Yeah, they
restaurants.
would.
Like the
Yeah.
Mexicans
Because
who
there's
know
a
what they're
Mexican
at.
community in Dublin. Like,
There you
well, at
go.
least, yeah,
Um,
studying English at least.
but oh God, and you go in there and you can't get a seat because they're booked out because
They're
everybody.
booked. Yeah.
Yeah, the grub is outrageous. Like, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yeah, we will. We'll wait for your. Even if you are just coming home, will you just sneak us home an old bit of grub or something? Just keep it in a
Just
sock or
bring home
something.
a few.
And just a
See
couple of
what we can
tortillas. Yeah,
do.
yeah. Sinead, this has been
Send
absolute
your
class.
requests.
Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time.
No, thanks for having me. I'll I'll share your Instagram and
Will you sign us off with something real Mexican? What would you say, like rolly R's and everything inside in the middle of it?
oh God, now you put me on the spot.
Do you know what? Sign it off by describing me exactly in a Mexican. If I was walking down the street, a
Your
Mexican
new
would,
your new name.
yeah, my new name. What would a Mexican call me?
When I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna El Huerito for your whiteness.
Perfect. El Barrito. I'm taking that.
El Huerito.
Brilliant.
I'm not
Sinead.
going to jump on the board of
Ah, yeah.
categorizing people by skinny or fat.
I love honesty. I'll take
Can't do
honesty.
it.
That'll do me.
Well,
Clash
they're
today. Thanks a
honest.
million.
No worries. Talk to you again.
And thank you very much to La Flama Blanca. El Huero. I'm the white one. Or Huerita, maybe. All I know is I'm starving after that amazing podcast. Thank you very much, Sinead. That was class, wasn't it? Inspirational stuff. You can kind of get it done regardless. And you can trade blows with the best of them. I love it. Till she moves back home and opens a Mexican restaurant just up the road from me. Listen, you heard all the dates at the beginning of the show, that my upcoming show and what's coming up in the Hill. Go follow the usual platforms. You know what I mean? If you look down there as well, I've put Sinead's Instagram handle. So do give Sinead a follow. And let me know how well you got on over Christmas. I'll be doing another live pod fairly soon for the Patreons, and you can become one too. For as little as $3 hairs a month, you get all the added extras. You know the crack. If you are listening on whatever platform you're listening to that allows to rate, that'd be tremendous. I don't know if you get the Spotify end of year thing. It'd be great to tag the show in whatever platform you're able to, on Instagram or whatever else, just to let more people know about it. Bring them into the fold. Be smashing. Right. I can't wait to get finished with this watery thing so I can stuff my face with the entire world supply of cheese. Happy Christmas, everybody. Thanks for listening.